The Eminence in Shadow, episode 16, Unseen Intentions. So in the last episode, we had the start of the God of War tournament, and we ended that with Princess Rose attacking her fiance, Pervy Asshat. And now she's on the run and she's a fugitive. That's how we start off this episode. So we start off with Alexia and Beta, and they're basically going over Princess Rose's situation. This is pretty much an exposition dump for us so that we can figure out what's going on. Basically, Princess Rose has stabbed her fiance, Pervy Asshat. She's on the run. Pervy Asshat is the son of one of Oriana Kingdom's dukes, so Princess Rose is in serious trouble, but because she's the princess, she most likely won't get the death penalty. Meanwhile, Alexia basically informs that the Midgard Kingdom isn't going to do anything. Not only did the Orion Kingdom ask to take care of this on their own, but also Alexia's father, the king, he's one of those where he kind of sticks his head in the sand and he doesn't want to rock the boat. He doesn't make any moves unless he absolutely needs to. So, yeah, he's not going to be doing anything. Alexia wants to find Rose before the kingdom or the Oriana Kingdom is able to get her because she wants to hear her side of the story about like why did she do this. Beta basically explains that I think Rose didn't tell us what she was going to do because she didn't want any trouble between the two kingdoms. If she told you and you are aware of the situation and I got out that you were aware of the situation beforehand, then your kingdom could have been in trouble as well. But yeah, Alexia basically explains that, hey, like we're sworn allies. That means that I'm going to risk my health to save you, to protect you. And so she decides to leave to get as much information as she can. So yeah, we do have like a moment where Alexia kind of went up in my book. Like Alexia was always just like an interesting character. She was kind of annoying at first, but just like her rage moments in this little scene is just interesting. Just like the way she confronts Beta about how Beta doesn't seem to really give a crap about what's going on with Rose, and just the way like her voice deepens and stuff like that. This is it's funny in a non-comedic way, if that makes any sense. But yeah, basically Beta watches Alexia leave, and then that's when another Shadow Guard member pops up and explains that they believe that Pervy Asshat is doing something to the king, that he may be drugging the king or something, and that they know the location of where Rose is at. And so Beta's like, all right, feed a little bit of information to Alexia, just because if she gets a little bit more information, it will force her to like sit on it and think about it, which will stop her from going out and getting herself into trouble. And also just keep an eye on Rose, make sure everything's okay there. And then we cut to the tournament, the best part of this. And I'm going to give you some good news. Our boy, I'ma try not to lose, has won his match, and he's still in the tournament. So I'm rooting for you, I'ma try not to lose. I freaking love these names. But yeah, our boy's still in. So hopefully he does good in this tournament. I mean, I already know what the results are going to be, but still. So I'm still rooting for the guy. And then, of course, we got Cid sitting next to his friend Scale, who is just losing every single one of his bets and trying to get funds from Cid, who just ignores him and leaves. And that's when Cid encounters Beatrix. And Beatrix is looking for the daughter of one of her sisters, of her dead sister who passed recently. As Cid walks past her, she smells elf on him. And so she asks him, do you know any elves? And he's like, yeah, I'm friends with a few of them. And she asks, do you know any that look like me? And she pulls down her hood and she looks exactly like Alpha. So she has some kind of relationship, familiar relationship with Alpha. But Cid lies and says he doesn't. And I think Beatrix kind of senses that he's lying because she attacks him and she aims to cut off Cid's head. Cid, he realizes, okay, she intends to stop right before the sword comes to my neck. But if I stay still, it's basically going to show that I knew she was going to stop. So instead, I got to really just play the act of the background character. So Cid cries out in shock and he pretends to lose his footing. and causes the sword to miss him completely. And Beatrix, seeing his pathetic act, buys into it, and she apologizes. She thinks, she says, I thought you were a lot stronger than you appeared, but I guess I was mistaken. And yeah, Cid's happy with himself that he was able to pull this act off. I don't know why he's always happy when he's able to pull acts off. Like, every single one of his acts works. The funny thing is that in the manga, he gives it a name. He calls it the piss my pants technique. And I thought that was hilarious. They don't give it a name here, but yeah, in the manga, it's the piss my pants technique. But meanwhile, we have Quinton. He's the guy who was beating up Cid earlier in the previous episode. Well, Cid let him beat him up. Anyways, him and Annerose are scouting out the competition, and he's questioning about Mundane Mann, about yesterday. He asks what she thinks happened in that fight where Mundane Mann won. And she says that everyone seems to think that Mundane Mann's opponent just tripped and knocked himself out. And she says she doesn't buy it. She believes that Mundane Mann did something. Like, she saw some kind of movement, but he was moving faster than her eyes can see. And basically this whole scene is just talking about Mundane Mann and their guesses of what's going on. And Rose seems to be of the belief that Mundane Mann is actually stronger than he appears and is hiding his ability. Quinton seems to believe that he's using some kind of artifact, which is against the rules, and he's using that to help him out. Anyways, Mundane Mann's about to fight, and he's going to fight Goldy. And actually, before we get into that, there's just something that came up as I was editing this video. So as Quinton and Annerose are talking and discussing Mundane Mann, we get cuts of like the tournament and stuff like that, just like really brief shots. And we get this one shot of one of the losers being carried out on a stretcher. And at first, it happens so quick, it's like blink and you miss it. So I didn't even realize it the first time. But as I'm going back over and editing this video, I noticed that character on a stretcher looks so familiar. Is it just me, or is that supposed to be a cameo for Rance from the Rance hentai series? That looks exactly like him. Don't ask me why I know about Rance. Okay. But it's the same armor, same color scheme, and this series likes to throw in just like little Easter eggs and things. So I think that's Rance. You tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, anyways, I thought that if that is Rance, I thought that was just like a cool little cameo. But there you go. Anyways, back to the fight. And Goldy once again comes out with his little trolley and his giant sword on it. And we just have like a funny moment where before the fight, Goldy's just like unbuckling his sword from the trolley. But Goldy's story is that the reason he's undefeated is because he only fights opponents that he knows he's going to win against. And anytime he fights an opponent where he believes he can lose, he forfeits. And that's why he's technically unbeaten. Is because he's never lost a match, because he's only fought matches that he knew for sure that he was going to win. Yeah, the match starts. Goldy basically rushes right at Mundane. And right as Goldy is swinging his sword, Mundane cracks his neck. Like, he just kind of turns his head to the side and cracks it. And Goldy misses because of that. Like, his sword completely flies over Mundane's head. And in his mind, he sees Mundane taking that opportunity to slash him in the chest and win. But in reality, we get this just hilarious moment where Mundane slowly pulls out his sword. Almost like he's struggling to pull it out of its sheath. Like, he's just slowly kind of doing it like this super lazily. And he just kind of holds it out in front of him. And Goldy, of course, steps back. And he basically berates Mundane and says, you had an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime, a 1 in a million shot to beat me, and you just wasted it. Like, you should have pulled out your sword quickly and stabbed me, but instead you didn't, and now you're going to lose because of that. Meanwhile, like, Quinn's like, what the hell just happened? How did Goldy miss? And Rose says, right before the sword came at his neck, he cracked his neck, which caused the sword to miss. And Quinton believes, like, there's no way he could have cracked his neck just in time for the dodge. And Annerose says, maybe it was a coincidence, but what if it wasn't a coincidence? What if he did that on purpose? But Goldy sums up all of his powers. He creates like this golden, like dragon looking ability. And then he charges at Mundane. And all of a sudden, we just see him get rocket back. Goldy just flies back. He's knocked out. Mundane wins. And we see Mundane just kind of like rubbing his nose. Looks like he just sneezed. And Quinn's like, what the hell just happened? I didn't see him move. And Rose explains that right when Goldy was rushing at him, Mundane sneezed. And when he sneezed, he brought his hand up to kind of brush at his nose. And his hand happened to be holding the sword. And when he brought it up, the sword just happened to be pointing right at Goldy. So Goldy ended up charging right into Mundane's sword. And that's how he got knocked out. And then we have like one of the funniest lines of this episode where Quinn's like, the dragon clashed with the sneeze. And the sneeze won? So yeah, Cid ends up beating Goldy with the sneeze. And he moves on to the next stage. But Quinn's like, yeah, I don't believe any of this. Like, he's got to be cheating or something. Like, there's no way he's this strong. But I'm going to find out because I'm going to fight him next, basically. And he leaves. And then we have this cute moment where Annerose is just standing there by herself for a moment. And then she starts cracking her neck and sneezing. And she does it a few times. And then she stops and she realizes what she's done. And she's super embarrassed and she walks away. Then we cut to Princess Iris talking to Pervy Asshat and the king. And we have the funniest line in this entire episode where Pervy Asshat tells Princess Iris, please call me Perv, Princess Iris. So yeah, Pervy Asshat is his actual name. It's not a nickname or anything like that. His actual real name is Pervy Asshat. And Pervy Asshat is drugging the king. No one knows this, but it's really obvious because the king just has this blank look in his face. He's drooling, and all he says is do whatever Perv Asshat says. And I'm kind of shocked that Iris doesn't call him out on this. Like, Iris is supposed to be a really intelligent character, and the king is like not even looking at her. The king is just staring blankly ahead. He has bags under his eyes. He's drooling, and the only thing he repeats is the same phrase over and over again. Do as Perv Asshat says. No one seems to have noticed this. It's also kind of like, what does it say about your king when not even like any of his men realize that there's something wrong with him? Basically, Mundane keeps going through the ranks. He fights Quinton. We don't even get to see the fight between him and Quinn. Basically, we just see Quinn with his head buried in the ground, knocked out, and Mundane walking away as the referee announces that Mundane has won. Also, the funny thing about this is that Cid doesn't even remember Quinn. Like, he's like, who was that guy? What was his name again? I think it was Quinn or something. I feel like I've seen him before. And it's like, this is the guy that beat the crap out of you when you first arrived at the city. But, yeah, like, I don't know. I just thought that was a nice little, like, subversion. Where in a regular shonen or whatever, this would be the moment where the main character will be like, this is my chance to get revenge. Not necessarily revenge, but this is my chance to prove this guy wrong. He beat me up when I wasn't ready, or he beat me up when I was weak. I've trained and I've fought and I struggled and I got stronger. And now it's my time to show him that he was wrong about me. But instead, Cid just easily beats him off camera and doesn't even remember who he was. Mundane leaves the tournament, and then he comes face to face with Annerose, and Anne basically says that, I misjudge your strength, but I've seen all your moves, and there's no way you're going to be able to beat me. And Mundane smiles at her, and he does this just really cool moment. In like any other anime, it would just come across as super cheesy and kind of cringe, but because of just the way it's done here, it just comes across as hilariously awesome. But Mundane Man basically pulls off like one of the bracers on his arm, and then he drops it. And when he drops it, it just creates a huge crater. And basically he reveals that he's been wearing a bunch of weights that have been restricting his speed this entire time. And he takes off another bracer, and he says, I've been holding back, but playtime is over. And he drops it right between her legs, and it creates another crater. And then she says, don't assume you've already won. You're not the only one who can do this. And then she cracks her neck. Mundane Man just kind of like stares at her for a moment, and then he walks away, and he's like, what the hell was she trying to do? So, yeah, that's how it ends. Well, actually, it ends with Princess Rose attacking one of the guards in the sewers and rushing away as the other guards give chase. But yeah, that's basically the episode. I thought it was awesome. I love this episode. Do I love it better than the previous one? Oh, it's really hard because both had a lot of good comedy moments in it. I'll say they're maybe about the same. I am kind of confused about one thing though. Where is Claire in all of this? Because I don't know about the light novel. Because as I said before, I'm not, at this point in time, I'm not caught up on the light novel. In regards to the light novel, I would be like on like an earlier episode. But I am all caught up on the manga. So I've already seen the tournament arc through the manga. I don't know how faithful the manga is to the light novel. But in the manga, and I'm assuming, the light novel is the same, Claire, Cid's sister, is in the tournament. In fact, she's actually the one that gets Cid involved in the tournament. Not participating, but just to see it. Because she gives him tickets, and basically she wants Cid to watch her participate in the tournament and win. So Claire's in the tournament, but we've had no mention of her since the school got blown up by the terrorist groups. So I'm wondering if they're just going to cut her part out altogether. I would assume not, because I don't want to say she plays a huge part in this arc, but her being in the tournament does lead to something. I won't say what because I don't want to spoil anyone who's just watching the anime. But yeah, the fact that she hasn't been mentioned yet, I'm a little bit confused on that. I'm kind of rambling on that. I thought this was good. I enjoyed the comedy bits, especially just the way Cid beat Goldy. Like just the cracking his neck to dodge the sword. I mean, it's just such a small moment, but just a moments of Cid like just slowly pulling his sword out of his sheath, getting ready to fight. He's like an old man, just like struggling to kind of move. It's hilarious as he does it, and the fact that he wins with the sneeze. Like just Cid coming up with all these crazy ways to win or to dodge stuff, but still make it seem like it was accidental. Like only Cid can come up with cracking his neck to dodge a sword strike, or sneezing to attack his opponent, or the whole piss my pants technique where he falls back and cries to dodge Beatrix and throw her off. Like Cid is just he's such a lovable, I don't want to say idiot because he's not stupid. He's just naive to the fact that, no, I don't want to say that he's naive to the fact that they're real. He's naive to the fact that the Cult of Diabolos is real. I guess I'll just say he's so fanatic about living this background character life that he's just come up with so many ways for every single situation to throw people off. And just the fact that it works every single time. But yeah, there you go. There's Eminence Shadow, episode 16, Unseen Intentions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later.